I mean, obviously, the waters are fairly muddy on this, as they often are in that part of the world. But one thing that did strike me is that Hamas doesn't seem to have any friends left here. I mean, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey seem to be suggesting that Hamas ought to go for this. And meanwhile, at the same time, The Economist magazine, which I've never known to be a big fan of Donald Trump in either of his terms in office, seems to have also suggested, well, this is not a bad idea, and the White House actually deserves praise for this.
Well, I think what the White House gave the world and gave Prime Minister Netanyahu was a clear vision of what should come after the war, one that doesn't include Israel, occupying Gaza indefinitely. That was always kind of missing. During the Biden administration, the Biden team was trying to put a lot of obstacles in the way of Benjamin Netanyahu. They were trying to really basically put political pressure on his government that would bring it down. So they were always demanding that he come up with a day after plan. But their day after plan was always the Palestinian Authority takes over. That's something that was politically unacceptable for Netanyahu, for the vast majority of Israelis, and also unrealizable in a practical sense. So he couldn't accept that. He also couldn't accept the Biden vision. He had no inclination to do so, but he also couldn't do it for domestic political reasons. He didn't want to come up with a counter plan because that would mean fighting simultaneously with the White House, but also with his own coalition. So now we kind of had a counter plan imposed, if you will, on Netanyahu, but he's quite happy to have this imposed on him. It means he can now go to his right wing, which says, we should occupy Gaza indefinitely, maybe resettle it and so on. And he can say, I can't do that. Donald Trump won't let me.
Yeah, but I mean, back then to the domestic politics within the United States here, the other fascinating thing to me, you mentioned Joe Biden, but of course the Joe Biden policy was an outgrowth of the Obama policy, which was that reorientation of the U.S. away from Israel and towards, so bizarrely, Tehran and Iran and the mullahs. How important is the final, drawing a line under that whole era of trying to reorganize the Middle East in those pro-Iranian terms? How important is that to getting some peace for Trump with Israel, with the Palestinians?
Well, it's very important, I think, to get rid of the idea of a two-state solution with the Palestinian Authority, because that's simply a fantasy. It's not going to happen. And it's a slogan that has been used to pressure Israel and to put distance between the United States and Israel. So we've gotten rid of that. Hamas is the proxy of Iran. So taking a clear position on the defeat of Hamas is also a step in the right direction. But as I say, there's this huge practical problem of how do we actually get rid of Hamas, and how do we actually create a new order in Gaza that can give some kind of stability and some measure of prosperity to Gazans. I don't know how we get there yet. I mean, that's not clear.
Michael Doran, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.